Unit 5, Section 12.1 Worked Examples. Determine the type of sampling for each situation. At a local community college, 5 statistics classes are randomly selected out of 20, and all of the students from each class are interviewed. This is cluster sampling. Notice that we're randomly selecting the classes, and then all of the students in those classes are going to be sampled. A researcher randomly selects and interviews 50 voters who are registered Democrat, 50 who are registered Republican, and 50 who are registered Independent. This would be stratified sampling. The population is divided into groups that have a common characteristic, and then a random sample is taken from each of those groups, or strata. To avoid working late, the quality control manager inspects the last 50 items produced that day. This is a convenience sample. Manager took what was convenient to sample. A lobbyist for a major aerospace firm assigns a number to each legislator and then uses a computer to randomly generate 10 numbers. The lobbyist contacts the legislators corresponding to these numbers. This is a random sample. To ensure customer satisfaction, every 20th phone call received by customer service will be monitored. There's the key, 20th. This is systematic sampling. A researcher wishes to assess the importance of exercise in weight loss programs. The study included 100 subjects considered to be at least 20 pounds overweight who were randomly assigned to one of 2 groups. Over a 2-month period, the first group followed a particular diet but were instructed to perform no exercise other than walking. The second group followed the same diet but also performed aerobic exercise for 1 hour each day. At the end of the 2 months, the following data were collected for each subject: treatment program, gender, weight loss. What type of variable is gender? Gender is a categorical variable, puts the subjects into categories. What type of variable is weight loss? Weight loss is going to be quantitative, and of course the units there will be pounds. A magazine publisher mails a survey to every subscriber asking about the quality of its subscription service. All surveys are returned, and 56% rate the quality of the subscription service as very good. Does the total number of subscribers represent a sample or the population? Every subscriber, that's going to be the population of the subscribers. And because we're then calculating something from the population, 56% is going to be a parameter. Remember, P, population parameter, goes with population, parameter population. George, a network engineer, ordered 600 Cat5e Ethernet cables for use at his company's network. After receiving these cables, he decided to randomly test 180 of these cables before using them. He was alarmed to find that 82% of these cables failed completely. He returned the entire lot to the manufacturer. Does the 180 cables represent a sample or the population? So if you notice, they ordered 600, but George tested 180, so that's a sample. And so the 82% was calculated from that sample, so therefore it's a this should say statistic. It's a statistic. It should say statistic. So that 82% represents a statistic. More dogs are being diagnosed with thyroid problems than have been diagnosed in the past. A researcher identified 50 puppies without thyroid problems and kept records of their diets for several years to see if any developed thyroid problems. And we want to determine if this is an experimental or observational study. Notice the researcher is not doing anything to affect the dogs, and so therefore this is an observational study. He's just observing. He or she is just observing. A scientist was studying the effects of a new fertilizer on crop yield. She randomly assigned half of the plots on a farm to Group 1 and the remaining plots to Group 2. On the plots in Group 1, the new fertilizer was used for 1 year. On the plots in Group 2, the old fertilizer was used. At the end of the year, the average crop yield for the plots in Group 1 was compared to the average yield for the plots in Group 2. Now, in this case, there was a treatment applied, so this is an experiment. A researcher obtained a random sample of 100 smokers and a random sample of 100 non-smokers. After interviewing all 200 participants in the study, the researcher compared the rate of depression among the smokers with the rate of depression among the non-smokers. Now, although there's 2 groups here and there was a random sample obtained of smokers and non-smokers, this is an observational study. The researcher is not doing anything to influence the smokers or the non-smokers. They're already self-selected into their groups. So this would be an observational study.